KwaZulu-Natal anticipating a busy festive season. Scores of people expected to make their way into the province, but it faces a shortage of ambulances. Just over 400 ambulances are currently in use, with a shortage of over 700 vehicles. Health workers and the union representing them, Denosa, accusing the health department of negligence, and it feels that the shortage could have been avoided. Newzroom Afrika's Nobuhle Modise joining us now live from Durban. Nobuhle, that's quite a massive fleet. Only, what did that story say? 400 ambulances currently in circulation. It is short of 700. What's the explanation from the health authorities there?
Good afternoon, Xoli. So the explanation by the Health Minister, Joe Phaahla, when he was asked those questions during a Q&A session in Parliament, was that nationally there is a crisis, and he was saying at the moment the country is only using about 49% of ambulances that it needs to respond to the health needs of South Africans, and that translates to about a 7,000 shortage of ambulances nationwide. And if you trickle that down to the KwaZulu-Natal province, he also then spoke about the fact that there's a ratio that they use, and that ratio is 1 ambulance per 10,000 people. And if you use that ratio in the KwaZulu-Natal province, there are about 432 ambulances that are currently in use, and that means that there's a shortage of 742 ambulances. And they are saying that about 200 ambulances are not in use. They are either being maintained, or some of them have been in car accidents, and that is why we see a huge shortage. And the Democratic Nursing Organization of South Africa has accused the health department of negligence, and saying that it doesn't care about the lives of people, especially here in the KwaZulu-Natal province, where, as you said in the intro, we are expecting a large number of people to come into the province for that festive season. I am actually joined by the provincial chairperson of Denosa in the KwaZulu-Natal province, Mr. Sibonelo Ele, and I just want him to speak to us about that heavy statement that they've made regarding the health department, saying that it's not taking the lives of South Africans seriously. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ele. Just take us through, as Denosa, what your thoughts are around the subject of the shortage of ambulances, particularly in the KwaZulu-Natal province.
Thank you, and also to your listeners, to your viewers. We are very much concerned about the shortage of ambulances in general, but particularly in KwaZulu-Natal. Even when we spoke to our colleagues who are directly involved in organizing for emergency personnel, we discovered that they have gone as far as even reducing overtime, which was assisting in making sure that there are no members of the public who are stranded, who are waiting for ambulances. But the problem now, they are reducing overtime because they can't call a person to come to do work when there is no tool of trade, which is the ambulance in this case. So because of that, we are very much concerned, because we are approaching the festive season, and we all know that KwaZulu-Natal is a tourist attraction province. So people will be coming in here, but they must not expect much help from the government side in terms of the transportation to health facilities. And also that threatens the life directly, because if a person arrives late in the health facility, the chances of saving that life are very slim. And also, what is even more disturbing is that if the ambulance delays because of the shortage to get to the public, or to the source, to where people live, or where the incident would have taken place, some community members, they become very angry, and at times that might expose the personnel or the ambulance to other risks, because people are angry. If a person has already died, or the casualty has already died, people will say, if you had come here earlier, this would have not happened. So maybe you might as well join that person. So that's where our worry is.
All right, and then just speak to us about the fact that obviously we know that rural areas are the ones that are going to be hardest hit by this shortage that has taken place. What does that mean for your personnel there as well? Because we understand that even getting an ambulance before this shortage was something that was impossible in the KwaZulu-Natal province. What does that mean for your personnel, especially those that are sparsed out in the rural areas?
For us, it's really problematic because in our previous experiences, we've seen that whenever a person or a casualty come, or a person who's involved in an emergency situation come to the health facility, they expect us to do miracles or making sure that the person's life is saved. Now, if a person arrives late because of that, because that is what we're going to experience more in rural areas, you will have maternity cases which will not be transported on time. Now, people will end up turning their anger towards the staff, and mostly the nurses will normally take a fall for it. So we want the department to be serious and be responsible and take lives of our people, and particularly the citizens of this province, to take them serious, because we don't want a situation where people are turning against each other because of the government failures to make sure that we have enough ambulances. Because you cannot tell me that you lose so much ambulances overnight. You find that the situation is that when something gets broken, it's not fixed. When an ambulance is in accident, they don't get replaced. Only you realize in December that there's going to be a shortage. Then you're setting us for a disaster during this festive, especially.
Thank you very much, Mr. Qele. That is Mr. Sibonelo Qele, who is the provincial chairperson of Denosa here in the province, and him just touching on the fact that those failures by the health department trickle down to their members, where they are then sometimes attacked by people of the public because of not understanding what the actual issues are, and he's just speaking to the fact that this needs to be sorted out in time ahead of that festive season rush here in the KwaZulu-Natal province.
Nobuhle, Modise, thank you very much indeed for that update. It is going to be a very busy time, in particular for emergency services personnel, and that always is the worry. It's quite a strange one in South Africa, where people who are called to communities to provide medical help, they end up being attacked by criminals. It's a sad situation.